While we're celebrating Supercar Saturday here in Miami, Florida, overseas, we are experiencing the 24 hours of Le Mans, and there is no better car to have here for Supercar Saturday to celebrate that than this car behind me, the first generation Ford GT made by Ford, the 100th anniversary of Ford celebrating their heritage with Le Mans. So why, of all cars, did you pick a Ford GT? These are pretty niche.
Yeah, no, I've always been a Ford person, and I always wanted one of these, so I bought it about 5 years ago.
5 years ago, and that's a long time to have a car, especially a car like these,
Right.
very raw driving experience. What is it like to drive?
I think it's one of the best cars to drive.
Yeah.
It's air conditioned, power steering, power brakes, and it's fast.
Did it live up to the expectations that you
yeah.
had for the car?
Yes, very much.
Do you mind if we take a look inside?
Sure.
So one notable feature about the car, this is a fun GT Easter egg here in the headlight. I mentioned it was the 100th year anniversary. There's actually a 100 here in the headlight that you can see too. These cars have a ton of nods to Ford's racing heritage, which is phenomenal. And this is pretty much a street legal race car. You can tell it from the outside of the car, but especially when you take a look inside of the cabin, it looks like a bona fide race car in every sense of the word. Including, of course, how difficult they are to get in and out of, because you can't have a race car that is comfortable and easy to get in and out of. In the second generation of the Ford GT, you see the EcoBoost, the 6-cylinder engine that you see that gives it a lot of pep and a lot of power, but still keeps it a more modern engine. But in the first generation, we still see these bigger engines. This pushes the boundaries of everything that Ford engineering has to prove for themselves, and is a beautiful nod to Le Mans racing history this week that we are celebrating. If you're just getting into supercars and trying to learn the differences, cars like McLarens, Ferraris, and Lamborghinis can be really difficult to tell apart because you don't know exactly what to look for. So let me give you a hint. It's going to sound silly. How can you tell the difference between a Lamborghini Huracan and a Lamborghini Aventador? There's a lot of difference between these two cars, but if you want one guaranteed way to tell it, take a look at the headlight. Remember, A for Aventador, the headlights actually look like an upside down A. It sounds silly, but if you're looking for a way to get into supercars and you want to memorize the small differences, that's the one thing to keep in mind. Now, of course, this car looks absolutely nothing like a Huracan besides the fact that it's a Lamborghini, and once you get to know the differences, they're very easy to tell apart. But if you're just learning, this is one thing that I would always point out.